Marilyn's got some show and tells tonight.
Okay.
Okay, here I come. Poison ivy.
Wait, it doesn't have poison ivy on it.
No. Well, how else could I call it poison ivy if it didn't have it on it?
So how did you come up with this one? Tell us a little bit about your inspiration.
Well, some of you may remember that this summer I got a bad case of poison ivy.
Oh.
And everybody was talking about it, and I was talking about it and everything. And at the same time, I'm making this, thinking I'm going to make this quilt. And so it's taken me forever, but that's kind of how I sew. So anyway, I finally got it done, and I wanted to show it because I wanted to show you the wonderful quilting job that we do here at Quilters HQ. And I mean, Lisa just does beautiful work. It shows up better back here. Are you going to flip that way?
This way.
Okay.
And then we can see the front again. We get a little closer.
Huh? But I thought that was really pretty, and it turned out so nice.
It came out
really
really nice.
made my poison ivy quilt come to life. And the reason I called it poison ivy was when I finished it and my husband took a picture of it, I noticed I had some dark spots in it. And I was so disappointed that I hadn't noticed that when I was putting it together.
I like it.
So that's why I call it my poison ivy quilt.
I wouldn't change a thing.
It's beautiful.
So I'm happy that it's done.
I love this.
Came out really nice.
The inset here, I
Mhm.
used, this was done with jelly rolls. Takes me a minute.
Yep.
And
Keep turning.
Okay. And so when I was finished with the main part here, I took the jelly rolls that I had left and decided which ones I might want to make this insert with, because I thought that dressed it up a little bit. And that was fun to do. And I kind of liked the way it turned out too, Susie. So after I had it quilted, I took it home and I serged it. And it was time to do the binding. And I'm not a great binder.
It looks perfect.
So in my time off, I looked at
it's
some
fine now.
YouTubes on, the computer or on my iPad. And there were people that were talking about gluing. And of course, we've always had the glue here, only I just don't always put one and one together to make three.
Hi, Virginia.
So I decided that what I would do is try a technique. I wanted to do a French fold. So I did the French double fold for my binding. And then I sewed it on the back side, just 1/4 of an inch across. And I make my binding a little bigger than other people do. So I used a 2.5 inch. And when I folded it then, and I did an 1/4 of an inch seam along here, I was able to fold it over so that it overlapped. Actually, it was the other way around. It overlapped the seam on the front where I had sewn it on. And instead of pinning it, because I'm always sticking my fingers with straight pins, and I don't like that. And then I drop them, and then I have the cat who bats them around on the floor, and I'm afraid somebody's going to step on them or something. So what I decided to do was try the glue method, and it worked so good. I just took this downstairs to the ironing board, and I put a line of glue across this side. And when I had glued it all the way around, because this acorn glue, precision glue, sticks so well, it was still together after I ironed it down, which is just fabulous. It pulls apart really easy if you need to do an adjustment or whatever, but it did. It stuck together really well. So I just glued it all the way around, and then I stitched in the ditch on the right side, and because I had my extra width of binding here, that made like an 1/8 of an inch seam along that edge, and I think it turned out
It's beautiful.
really easy for me anyway. So you might want to consider that. But this
Hi,
is
Jerry.
the acorn precision piecing glue. I think that because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read it.
You can just say acorn glue.
Acorn glue.
How much is it?
It is $7.99. That was in bigger letters, so I was able to read it. Just in case you're wondering. Then I had one more thing to show you. I don't know if you remember or not, but I don't know if it's been a few months now or not, but anyhow, I was messing around with this material that had these little birds on it, and I wanted to fuse them to something, and I came up with a piece of material that I had at home, and I was showing you how to use the fusible that we had that allowed you to go ahead and fuse your picture on the thing and then cut out whatever the pattern was that you wanted to isolate. And in this case, I isolated birds. And then I was going, okay, so what am I going to do with these birds? And I found some material that I actually had at home. And then Susie came along and did a 10-minute table runner. Well, y'all know that I like table runners, right? So I thought, well, that looks easy enough. Maybe even I could do that. So I put this table runner together, and then I fused my birds onto the front side of it, so it looks like they're kind of standing on those little branches. And that became my decoration on my table runner. And I know that when Susie did it, she suggested you put buttons on the edges, to hold these together. And she and I both, I think, decided that we throw these in the washing machine. So we didn't want the buttons to come off or to break. So I just went ahead and sewed it across this way to hold that together. And then I remembered, like one of you who kind of wrote in while she was going through this, that she tried one and she made the tube and then she sewed it together and realized that she didn't put her picture on or do whatever she was going to do in here, and so it was too late at that point. Well, that's kind of what I did with my applique, with my fusible here. And so this morning before I came in, I decided that I would try to just outline one of these birds so that you could see it a little bit better. It's the first time I've done that. Everything's a first for me. And so I wanted it to show up a little better, and it did kind of make that bird look a little more prominent than the others. But the thing I was concerned about was now that's going to show on the back because I have the material on the back and I can't get to it to separate it. So I chose thread that I think you've always heard Joan talk about, that is stainless steel?
No, aluminum.
Aluminum. Okay. And so that's what I put in my bobbin, so that when I went to the back of it, you can't see where I sewed around that little bird.
Oh.
And it just blended in so nice. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good trick. So if you can come up with the thread in your bobbin that'll match whatever you have on the back, that works. But anyhow, I was kind of tickled to finally get that one done too. I'm getting a few things done that have been sitting around for a while. So I just wanted to share it with you. And I did have one other safety tip. We have a young lady who works in the store, and she went to an event last weekend, and it was an embroidery event. And I'm not quite sure how she did it, but her finger
I think they were doing applique.
Finger ended up under the needle and kind of punched her finger. So my safety tip is watch where your fingers are when you're doing your embroidery. And it also made me think of my cat, because she's forever bumming around my needle on my sewing machine when I'm sewing, and I'm going, oh my God, if that needle goes through her foot, she's probably going to attack me the next time. Anyway, that's everything I had, and it's very nice to be back, and I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I definitely had well wishes for you while you were out.
That was very nice and thoughtful. That's it for me, guys.
Thanks, Marilyn. You're welcome.